if it's hard, it's just pushing people away that aren't willing to go through it. And so the fact that this is an art, and a lot of this business is an art, there's a reason we call the Facebook group the art of digital real estate. And we call it the art of pre-selling is because no one wants an art. Everyone wants to have an exact, perfect, when this happens, then do this. Guys, that's just not life. And if you need those answers and you want to live a life that's like if this happens and I do this, then you're more going to be more comfortable, more secure in a 9 to 5 type of a setting. And I don't mean that in any disrespectful way because that's okay. But this might not be for you. This is an art, not a science. And it's just like with stock market, guys. There's no exact science for how long you should stay in a stock. I invested in 2014. I worked the entire summer, door-to-door sales, sweat buckets of sweat, got rejected thousands of times, all kinds of different stuff, lost sleep, got in fights with my wife because of this, that, and the rest, and how tired I was, whatever, right? Missed time with my kids, spent that entire summer doing door-to-door sales. And Jason did some of that as well. So he knows my pain. Some of you guys might have as well. And I made that year, I think it was $130,000. Okay. Basically, that's gross. And I think I probably put like 110 in my pocket. Didn't have a ton of expenses, but I did have some. And I spent of that, I put 40 or I think it was 50. No, it was 50, not 40. $50,000. So I lived on part of it. Keep in mind, I lived on part of it. And then I spent the majority of the money I had left and I put it on a stock, on one stock that was going to IPO. And it was the company I worked for. It was Vivint. It's called Vivint Solar. And Vivint Solar, just before that, Alibaba had, if you guys are familiar with that, it's like the Chinese Amazon. They had gone public and literally, I don't know, their stock like 13x or something. And I started doing the math. I was like, yo, if I put in 10,000 bucks and this thing 13x's, even if it does half of that, then that six, how can I lose? And to be fair, our bosses, our regional managers, they were telling all of us, get all the money you can get, put your entire back end check into this company. If you got to go to your dad and borrow money. Anyway, I put $50,000 in the stock and this thing, I put it in and not only did it not go up, it literally the day after it was down. It would have been better for me to buy in at the regular price. And for the entire time, guys, that I was in this stock, I was losing the money. But the crappy part is, I didn't know when to pull out. I didn't know if I should keep it in, whatever. And I pulled out. It's embarrassing. I pulled out at the beginning of 2020. And it was, instead of being worth 50,000, which it had gone down to being worth about 10, it had bumped up to like 25. So it swelled up a bit and I was like, dude, I'm going to take half my money and just get out of this thing. And I did. I cashed out and I promised you guys like 2 months later, that thing was not only worth what I originally bought in, but it was worth like 50% more. If I would have waited 2 more months, I waited 6 years. And if I would have waited 6 years and 2 months, I would have made money, like enough that it would have been worth my money being in there the entire time. Okay. It's my point being that's an art. This is an art. Some of the best things in life are art. A life is art, and you just got to get comfortable with that. Okay. All right. Number three thing I want to say, if you guys are generating leads in an area, if you have a website that's organically getting leads from the GMB, from the organic rankings, from whatever it is, if you are getting leads, there is always a deal to be made. If you're running ads and that ad campaign and that landing page is producing consistent leads, there is always a deal to be had. And in the same way that with my stock example, you do not lose money until you pull out. You do not lose money until you quit. And what I mean by that is, let's say in a hypothetical situation that Aaron goes and sets up a campaign for MinneapolisConcrete.com. And Aaron, he spends 150 bucks, right? And he has no business owner. He's gotten some leads. He's hooked a couple business owners. He's tried to get on a Zoom with two of them. He's 0 for 2. Or maybe he's 0 for 1. If Aaron quits and he's like, dude, this doesn't work. Nick's full of crap. Digital real estate's a baloney. I'm going to do drop shipping. I'm going to do freaking e-com, whatever. I'm going to go to my 9 to 5. That's fine. That is the only way that Aaron could lose money because Aaron, let's say he's at $250 spent. He has no deal, but he's like, dude, I'm going to double down. This area is producing leads. I know I'm going to get a business owner. I just got to get creative. It's just that next one. And he spends 500. He doubles his spend. Okay. But on the last person, he gets the deal. It's $1,500 a month or even $1,000 a month. He gets the deal, signs a 6-month contract. Guess what? Every single dollar that he spent to get to that deal, he recouped instantly. And he's positive. And that doesn't mean he had to stay in Minneapolis. That could mean he was in Minneapolis. He determined, yes, indeed, this is too competitive. I didn't listen to Nick. The CPC was too high. I'm going to shift to a smaller city in Minnesota, or I'm going to shift states because this isn't a great state. I'm going to go to Tampa and I'm going to set it up. And he spends $250 in Tampa. As long as he doesn't decide to quit and he keeps doing it until he gets that first deal, he doesn't lose his money. Okay. And the way I view it, guys, is you're spending money that you're spending the customer's money, right? Every time I turn on ads, I'm spending my customer that's about to sign with me is the why? Because I'm not stopping until I get a deal. Guys, I'll spend $1,000. I'll go 0 for 20 because I know eventually I'm going to get a deal. And even if I spend, by the way, I don't think I've ever spent $1,000. I think the most I've ever spent is a couple hundred. But I'm just using an extreme example. I'll spend $1,000 because I know that even if I do get the deal, month one, I break even and now I'm making money. Okay. So you guys have to remember that you get in and you start putting a little bit of money on a credit card and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm losing money. No, you don't lose money until you quit. Okay. You don't lose money until you walk away. Just like I wouldn't have lost that money until I pulled out. If I would have waited until hey, just fix your head, dude. It's got to come back up or you're leaving it in. I would have made money.